Looking at the next example, they want us to write our answer as an integer or as a decimal rounded to the nearest tenth, and that's going to apply for all of them. For this one in particular, they want to know what is the area and perimeter. So if we look at this shape looks like a rectangle. And if we're looking for the area is going to be equal to base times height. And if we're looking at this rectangle in particular, the area is going to be equal to, the base is going to be WV times the height is going to be VY. So that means we need to know the distance from W to V and V to Y. And the way we do that is with our distance formula. So looking at WV, our distance is going to be equal to the square root of -10 minus 5 squared plus 4 minus 1 squared. So WV is going to be equal to the square root of -15 squared plus 3 squared. So WV is going to be equal to the square root of -15 squared is going to be 225 plus 9. So WV is going to be equal to the square root of 234. And if we check the square root of 234, that's going to end up being a decimal, so we're going to leave it as a decimal all the way until the end. So that gives us area is going to be equal to the square root of 234, and then we need VY. So I'm going to use this one and that one, so we don't need x at all for this problem. So VY is going to be equal to the square root of 5 minus 6 squared plus 1 minus 6 squared. So VY is going to be equal to the square root of -1 squared plus -5 squared. So VY is going to be equal to the square root of -1 squared is 1 plus -5 squared is going to be a positive 25. So VY is going to be equal to the square root of 26. So our area is going to be the square root of 234 times the square root of 26. And when you're putting that into your calculator, you're going to want to do square root of 234, close your parentheses, times the square root of 26. And this one came out to be a nice whole number. The area is going to be equal to 78 units squared. But we're not quite done with this problem. It also wants us to find the perimeter. So if we're looking for the perimeter of a rectangle, perimeter is going to be equal to 2 times the base plus 2 times the height. So perimeter is going to be equal to 2 times WV plus 2 times VY, or you could do the square root of 234 plus the square root of 26 plus the square root of 234 plus the square root of 6, doing the side plus side plus side plus side, or you could use this way as well. So perimeter is going to be equal to 2 times the square root of WV is 234, so 2 times the square root of 234 plus 2 times the square root of 26. So when we enter this in the calculator, I'm going to do 2 times the square root of 234, close parenthesis, plus 2 times 26, 2 times square root of 26, and that gives us 40.792156661. And remember, it says round to the nearest tenth, and the 10th place is the 7, but the 9 is bigger than 5, so the 7 rounds up to an 8. So perimeter is going to be 40.8 units. And the perimeter is going to work the same for all the other shapes. You count the ones that you can, and then the ones you can't, you do the distance formula. The thing that's going to be kind of tricky with some of them is going to be the area. So those are the ones I'm going to be showing you next. So this says, what is the area? And if we're looking at this one, this is a triangle. So area for a triangle is equal to 1/2 base times height. So for these, you need to figure out what your base is and what your height is. And the way you determine the base and the height is you look for one of the points to be able to draw a line straight to the base and have it be perpendicular or meet at a 90-degree angle. This part right there, that JI, is your base. So area is equal to 1/2 of JI, and then your height is going to be right there, your K to this point right there. So, and then these are just vertical horizontal lines, so all you have to do is count these. So JI is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times your height. So 1/2 of 6 times 8. So area is going to be equal to 1/2 of 6 is 3 times 8. Area is going to be equal to 24 units squared. And they could also give you triangles that look like this and ask you to find the area of that one. So again, it's that formula for a triangle. Area is equal to 1/2 base times height, but you've got to find the base and the height out of this. So if I'm looking here, there's not any vertical or horizontal lines that meet the triangle at a 90-degree angle from G. So then looking at F, there's no lines that meet at a vertical or horizontal 90-degree angle. But if I go from H over to GF right there, that straight line right there makes a 90-degree angle. So in this case, our area is going to be equal to 1/2 times our base, which is GF, times our height, which is right there. So area is going to be equal to 1/2 times GF. GF is 9 times the height, which is 4. So area is going to be equal to 1/2 of 9 times 4 is 36. So the area is going to be equal to 18 units squared. And then looking at this next one, if we go and we look and we check, this one looks like it might, but it doesn't make a nice, neat 90-degree angle. This one right here, because we're looking, it's asking for area, so we're looking for a base and a height. That one's close, but it doesn't make a 90-degree angle. And if we look right here, there really isn't a good one. So with triangles like this, where you can't find a nice, neat base and height with a 90-degree angle like we did for this one, the easiest way, there's lots of different ways to do it, but the easiest way that I've found to do it is to create a box or a rectangle around your triangle so that it includes all of the points exactly on that rectangle. So what we'll do is, you see how when we create this box, we've got vertical and horizontal lines that make up littler triangles outside of our big triangle. So what we can do is we can find the area of our big box, subtract off the little triangles, and that'll give us our triangle in the middle. So area for the box is going to be equal to base times height. So in this case, our base is going across the bottom right there. So our area is going to be equal to, base is going to be 15, and the height is going to be 7. So area of the whole big box, and this isn't our triangle, it's just the big box, is going to be equal to 105. So now we need to look at each of these little smaller triangles, and we need to subtract off those smaller triangles. So we need to subtract off those smaller triangles. So if we do the blue triangle first, area is going to be equal to 1/2 base times height. There's a 90-degree angle. So we can say our base is there. Area is going to be equal to 1/2 times 7 times the height is 1, 2, 3. So area is going to be equal to 7 times 3 is 21, and then half of that is going to be 10.5. Looking at the next one there, we'll go with this one right there. So if we're looking to subtract off that triangle, again we're doing area is going to be equal to 1/2 base times height. So area is going to be equal to 1/2 of the base across there is going to be 12, and the height is going to be 3. So area is going to be equal to 1/2 of 12 is 6 times 3 is going to be 18. And then looking at the last triangle, area for that one is going to be equal to 1/2 base times height. So the base across the bottom there is going to be 15. Area is equal to 1/2 of 15 times 4. So area is going to be equal to 15 times 4 is 60. Half of 60 is going to be 30. So we need to take the area for the big box and subtract off our smaller triangles. So area of 105 minus 10.5 minus 18 minus 30, and if we subtract all of that off, our area is going to be equal to 46.5 units squared.